This is Irontrader. It is Sunday night. So I want to take a look here at Bitcoin, at gold, silver, crude oil, and natural gas. This video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation to buy, selling stock, commodity, ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. All right, here we have Bitcoin, your daily and your weekly chart. Now you can see here how on Friday, we closed right above this 50-day, which is awesome. Now we made a high at Friday of 117,320. What we're looking for is the top of this candle at 117,640 level, okay? So right here, we had 117,315, 117,320. You came in within 5 cents of that, $5 of that, okay? So very, very nicely. Now, on the downside here, what we're watching is that 50-day. That's going to be very, very critical. Now, if we lose that 50-day, that's 115,555. If we lose that, we're going to come to the top of this candle here. You're looking at 115,195. And then we'll look to the bottom there at that 114,850 level. Then we're going to come here to this 8-day at 113,665 and then 113,361. Now, look at this, okay? See how that 8-day now crossed over that 21-day? That's what I was saying on Friday, that when Sunday night opens up, the futures open up, that 8-day is going to cross over, and that's going to provide very, very good support. So again, if that 50-day is lost, just look for that 8-day and then look for the catch-all of that 21-day, okay? Now, again, obviously, if that is lost, then we can come right here to the bottom of that candle. You're looking at 111,230 level. We have 111,15. We'll come to the bottom there at 110,480, and then we're looking for the 100-day at 109,800. Now, what we got here, we got that 117,320 level, just a little bit above that 117,315. What we're looking for next is right there, 117,640. That's going to be key. That's your next resistance level. And then we'll come right to the top of that candle, 118,350. Then we look at 119,810. We'll come to the top of there at 120,755. And then look to the left here. It's going to be very, very key, 121,255. The reason being is we had this consolidation, and that was the high of that consolidation. All right, then we have old sticky up here at 122,955, and then we have the topping tail at 123,615. Come up there at 123,755, and then obviously your retest at 125,200. Now crack this, you're going to that 130, 135, and you're going to head right toward that 150 area very, very easily, okay? But right now, just be a little bit patient, but look how nice this is setting up. We've had that nice series of higher highs and higher lows today. So far, we have an inside day, but that 8-day cross that 21-day looking very, very nice. Now, we look here at that 54. That's not overbought, oversold, and the green is over your red. This is looking very, very bullish here on the upside. Now, here we have the weekly chart. Now, when we look at this, okay, we had this double top situation, came around down, but look how nice it held this 21 SMA. Okay, look at this on the weekly chart. Very, very nice. Now, Friday, or I should say not Friday, but last week, we popped above and we closed back above this 8-day, 115,021. Very, very key. So that's going to be crucial by next Friday, this Friday coming up, if we want to hold that 115,021. If not, you have the 110,757. But it just looks like it just wants to go higher kind of a situation. So just be a little bit patient. Now, I trade the BITX. It's a 2x leverage. Now, if you're in by the 25th, which isn't that far away, they pay a 14% dividend a year, but they pay 62 cents a share every month. Okay, so however many shares you got, times 62 cents, and the payout, if you're in by the 25th, the payout's going to be on the 28th. Another easy way to trade this is IBIT. That's a 1-to-1 ratio. That's a lot of times it's like a buy and hold kind of situation. But for me, I like to juice a little better. And, you know, it pays off really, really good by the end of the month. But right now here, just bottom line, watch this Friday's candle. That's going to be key. That 117,320 on the top, 114,850 on the bottom. Then watch that 50-day on a closing basis. Very, very key. Okay, let's take a look here now at gold and silver. All righty, here we have gold and silver daily charts. Okay, so you can see here how we had this really nice good run up. We cracked above that nice 34 level, and then we have a really nice good uptrending situation, but we put a topping tail in here. Okay, so always watching when you see that topping tail. Doesn't necessarily say it's going to sell off, but most of the time it does not just sell off, but it goes sideways kind of an action, okay? So now we have the nice good bottom situation. So on the downside, you want to watch that 36.62. That's that 8-day. You want to really hold that. If not, it'll come down to the bottom, 36.51. And then we want to look to the top of there at that 36.40 level. Then we want to come down to the bottom of this candle at 36.21. And then we have 35.95. We have 35.73, and then look to the left of the chart here. There's that 35.34 level, and then right below it is 35.29. That's the downside situation. But when we look at this, I said when we're down here, we crack that over, crack that up here. We could go to the 36.50, 37, and 37.20. But why did we watch that 3,700 level? Okay, what we have right here is you got 36.85 on a closing basis. Always watch that number right here where it says C, the closing basis. None of this really has closed above that 3,700. So that's going to be very, very critical. If we crack that, then we're going to retest that 37.15, and we have to see what the reaction is. Is it a breakthrough, or does it hit it and come right back down again? If it breaks through, you're going to head to that 37.15, possibly all the way 3,800, maybe even 38.20 level. Okay, but again, right here, look what we got. See, overbought condition here. Not saying you can't stay overbought, but again, just keep your eye on this, on that RSI, and the green is over your red, looking very, very nice. But again, you're way up the top of these charts, all right? So we have to clear 3,700, then your next level is 37.15. On the downside, just watch that 36.62. If we lose it, we follow the candles all the way down, come right down to the maybe possibly even out to that 21 day. Now, when we have this run up here, you put this topping tail in there. Then when it breaks out of the situation like we had here, okay? What you do is if it sells off down, always watch the top of that candle because that is going to become now your good support level, and it lines up pretty nice here with the 21 day. All right, silver. Now, silver had a really good breakout here last week. Look at there, pow, all the way up to 43.04. Now, we're down this level here. This is what we're looking for, okay? That 39.91. Okay, then she just broke right on up here. Then we had the sideways action, and then she popped through. So 43.04, that is the high. But if you notice where it closed at 42.68, okay? We didn't close up on that high. So far today, we have this red candle. But when you look at these price channels, see these blue lines? These are just price channels. And they act like Bollinger Bands. So when the price gets outside, it wants to come back in and it wants to come to that 8-day. Okay, so that's exactly what happens. So we look at here, got on the outside. What did it do? It wanted to come back in. All right, so always look to the past because usually where the past was, that's where she's going again. All right, so sideways consolidation. Now, upside, well, we got to look at Friday's high, 43.04. You crack above that, you're going to head towards that 45 mark. That may be all one day, but that's where your key is, and you crack that, you're going to head to that flat line 50. Right? That's just very, very simple. Now, we do have a negative divergence going here, so pay attention to this here, okay? So that's going to be key. So where we have a high, now we have a higher high, we have a high, we have a lower high. So pay attention to that negative divergence, and the green is over your red, which shows momentum to the upside, which obviously we have. But again, just be a little bit cautious. You know what I'm saying? Always take money in your pocket. Now, downside here, what we're really going to be watching, we're going to be watching the top of that candle, 42.35. We're going to watch the top of there at that 42.29. And then we're going to watch that 41.89 level. We start losing that, we'll come down to the bottom, 41.33. We'll come to the bottom there at 14.14 level. And then we're going to come right to the top, 40.86. We come there at 40.55 level. And then we have this 40.18 level. Okay, and then right below it, obviously we have right there is your 39.91. And then we have your 39.57 level. Then obviously we have your 50-day. But right now, as long as we're holding this 8-day, we got sideways to up action. Okay, but just pay attention to the negative divergence. Now, I trade this. I'm not really what you call a big time gold trader or silver trader. That's really a special trader. That's really pretty much all they trade. To me, I like crude oil, natural gas, gasoline, Bitcoin. I like and anything that's in the AI, in the technology. That's my kind of trade. But okay, when it rallies up, I jump into GLD. Okay, and this was such a beautiful trade because every day it gave you a chance to get in. Okay, if you look at this, see how it went half the candle, half the candle, half the candle, top of the candle. Look how nice it gave you a good trade to get in. But when you see the topping tail, that's always a good red flag. So always, always watch that. All right. For the silver, I use trade SLV. When I see a run up, I jump in the SLV and I just take it. But I trade it daily and I cash it out daily. Okay, that's just how I do on these two commodities. All right, let's take a look here now at crude oil and natural gas. Now, here we have the old crude oil. Okay, so it's going to need a catalyst here to go higher. Now, you can see Friday, what do we have? Indecision candle. Did it pop up through the 8-day, 21-day? Absolutely. Okay, did it close up there? Hell no, it closed right below the 8-day. Now, here we are again, sitting right here in the center and on the inside day here so far. So, what we're watching on the upside is we're watching that 8-day, 62.71, that 21-day, 63.29, and then Friday's high at that 63.98, and then the 100-day at that 64.40 level. Now we get above that, you got your 50-day. 65.01, we just bring the price channel. 66.03, all that is just the top of that candle. And then 67.05. Now, downside. All right, downside here. When we're watching the bottom of that candle, 62.21. Right here, we have 61.85. And then your big retest at 61.45. That's going to be key. That's going to be everything. We lose that. Well, you know, here we go to the left of the chart again. All you got to look is 61.06. That's your next support level. Then we come down here to the bottom, 60.55. We'll come down to the bottom there, 60.02. And then this is your big target, is at 59.74. Then we have to see what the reaction is once you get there. You crack below that, bring the price channel right across, 57.74. Then we have 57.03. You have 56.39, 55.30, and then 55.12. All right, that is your downside. Now, obviously, I think, you know, hurricane season has been, you know, slow. Okay, now hurricanes, don't get me wrong, hurricanes is terrible for people, terrible for that. That's true. But if you're an oil trader, what it is when a hurricane comes into that Gulf and it hits them, and you have to shut down the ports, you have to shut down the rigs, it affects crude oil, natural gas, and gasoline. Okay, so just remember, we're a trading here. We have no politics here. We have none of that kind of stuff. We're trading here. This is what we do. We make money here. That's what we do on this site. Okay, so again, I think the crude oil here is going to be down in the 50s by the end of the year. The key is we just have to watch that 61.45. Now, anything can change that. In kind of a geopolitics, okay, you get into a war situation, you get something, but you're going to need a catalyst to take it higher. Right now, your price is pretty much below all your simple moving averages. That's really never good. Plus, you're coming into this time of the year, summer driving is done. Okay, you're in the fall, kids are in school. You don't have that drop. Plus, your oil market right now is supplied. Okay, you have plenty of crude. All right, so again, OPEC is going to be adding more crude oil here, but they're only going to add 100-some thousand barrels a day in October. Right now in September, okay, they're adding 461,000 barrels a day. So they're trying to they cut off all those volunteer cuts and all that, and basically pump whatever you want. They're just Saudi Arabia is looking for market share, not really oil price today. Okay, that never lasts. So always remember that. But any kind of a conflict, anything will send it higher, just like it did here. Okay, so when we had this inverse head and shoulders pattern, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, I said we're going to go to that 200-day. Where do we go? To the 200-day. This was that war premium. Israel, Iran situation. That's what we have. And look at the result. What happened after it got pretty much solved? Boom, all the way down again. Now, you're never going to have peace in the Middle East. I think that's just reality. That's just how it works, okay? There's always going to be some kind of a conflict, something going on and it always affects oil. But that's why I like trading oil, because it's always in play. I don't have to wait for this. I don't have to wait for that. It's always in play every day. But again, long or short. Now, I do the UCO for the long, SEO for the short, working very, very nicely. So right now, again, just watch that 8-day. We get above it. You got the 21-day. Then we look at Friday's high. Then we look at the 100-day, 50-day, the price channel, and then your 200-day. Very, very easy. Downside, this 61.45 is everything. You close below it. Look at that candle right there, 59.74. That's your target. Now, we're only sitting here at 44. That is not overbought or oversold. The green is over red, but just to have a sideways action. Again, if this time of the year, be very, very careful. Now, Natgas, different story. Natgas predicting very, very cold, snowy winter. What does that mean? Natural gas going higher. Yeah, you got to dig out the snow shovel, the snow blower. I get all that. The plows, yeah, I get all that. But that's not what we do here. We trade natural gas, okay? So as long as we're holding this 21-day, we're good. This is the key right here, okay? 2.92. We lose that, we're going to come down to Friday's low at 2.89, and then we'll come down to the bottom, 286, and we'll come right to this gap at 277. That's your support. Then we go to the fill, 274, look to the bottom, 265, and then retest 262. But you got to lose that 21-day in order to do that. Upside, this 8-day. Got to get and close back above at 302 and that 50-day. Look how strong that 50-day is at 307. Look at here. Into it. Close below it, close below it, close below it, close below it. Okay, what does it tell you? Strong as hell right there, 307. We get above that. We come to the top of that candle, 311. Come top of there, 316, and then we retest at 319. Obviously, you crack above it. Right there's your target at 329 and then 349. All right? Wow, we crack above that. Look at here. Look what we got up here. Look at here. Okay, 3.62. There's your tweezer top. That's why she sold right on down. 3.62, and it'll come up here, 375. And look at this bad boy at 414. Okay, but right now, what to do is here, we just got to be a little bit patient. Now, when you look at this, we have a possible, don't get me wrong, possible bear flag situation. We have your pole, and then we have this going up here, like a bear flag situation. Okay, now if you want to learn a little bit more about candlesticks or chart patterns, I did a video over the weekend. Just click onto it at your convenience. It's not a very long video. And then what you do is it has everything about chart patterns out here. It has about candlesticks and how to read candlesticks. That's pretty much what you trade, okay? That way, when you trade the charts and you trade the candlesticks and keep your trading simple, you block all that noise out of it, okay? So if when you turn on CNBC or Bloomberg, yeah, I got them all on too. I got 2 PCs, I got 10 screens going, okay? And I got Bloomberg on, I got global news, I got CNBC, I got the local news on it, okay? Yeah, I can listen to them all. But everybody is a talking head. They got something to say. This is going there. With the charts don't lie. Okay? It's all they are is lines on paper. That's it. Lines on paper. That's what you got. So just watch this 21 day. This is everything on the downside. It needs to hold that. Okay? Now, if we get back above that 8 day, that 50 day, that negates any kind of a bear pattern, bear flag situation, and we take that thing higher. Okay? Now, 48, not overbought, oversold. The green is over your red. That's looking very, very good. But just look at the time of the year. Now, again, it look like we're going to have like maybe a warmer fall to start. But I think you're going to have a cold winter. And then when you do that, natural gas is not going to stay in the $2 range. All right. Now, that's what I got for you. I'll be back here tomorrow morning, and I'll do another video here. We'll take a look at Bitcoin, at gold, silver, crude oil, natural gas. And we'll look at the old NQ. And we'll see what's going on here for the day. Now, I'm out of town right now. So I'm only going to make one video for you tomorrow morning, and then get you started, get you going for the day. And then Tuesday I'll be back in the office and it'll be business as usual. All right, trade what's in front of you, not what you want.